do you reclaim that feeling of success after you've experienced a speed bump? Well, that's exactly what we're talking about today on the Manifesting Guide. But just before we do that, if you're done with pushing and forcing yourself to get things done without results, come find your Manifest Without Force or Frustration gift at highertrueself.com. It's completely free. Okay, let's get started. This is Aryana Rollins with the Manifesting Guide, and this is podcast 47, Reclaiming a Feeling of Success. Can't wait to share this content with you. I'd like to start with a definition because a lot of my work is inspired by cybernetic transposition. Now, CT, please don't be put off by the term. Cybernetic transposition provides structure to guide your manifesting forces. And there are specific exercises that show you how to focus your inner resources, your mind, your body, your spirit, and make sure everything is aligned and that when you consciously make a decision, you follow through on it. So when you have harmony within you and you invoke the support, please make this happen in ways that are for the highest good of me and of all involved, then life starts to flow in miraculous ways, and you'll notice greater and greater synchronicity. And it seems almost like when you think it, life starts to respond. So let me give you a little quick definition on what CT stands for. Cybernetic transposition. Well, the word cybernetic is Greek for steersman or rudder, which means, in essence, CT gives you back the rudder for your life. And the word transposition is that it enables you to transfer success, transpose it, from one area of your life to another. So say you had success as a parent and you were really good in convincing your children to follow your lead. Well, you can apply that success in sales. Because really, isn't sales guiding someone to a decision that's in their best interest? Well, that's how I think about sales. So if you have experience with guiding your children, you can literally transpose that success, that skill set, into the area of selling, as an example. So let's talk about what we're going to cover today in this podcast. How to identify the pivotal area of your life that drags you down, that infuses you with perhaps doubt. It disconnects you from your innate success abilities. And then we're going to uncover a success experience in that area of your life. Because remember, we can transpose it. We can take it from one area of your life into an area where you're doubting yourself so you can re-energize and reconnect to your success abilities. And so we're going to transplant that success experience into that area where you feel a little bit, where you need a jump start. So you start to experience more ease and more success. So let's go into pivotal area of your life that drags the rest of your life down. So if I were to ask you to name something that's been plaguing you, something you've been unable to resolve or perform, get to the level of performance you'd like, even though you've tried. You might think that, well, that is the pivotal area of my life, my business. I've been trying to grow my income, and after the whole virus thing, it's just not happening. And I've been pouring so much time and energy into it. It's not for my lack of dedication and devotion. You'd think that might be the pivotal area of your life, but I can almost guarantee it's not. Maybe you think the pivotal area of your life is that, I just can't stand my job. I can't find one that I love that will pay me well. Likely that's not either. Or maybe you think the pivotal area of my life that I could resolve and then life is going to be great and it's going to flow is when I find my perfect partner. Because each relationship I enter into ends in pain, sadness, loss. And you may have even decided, I'm better off alone. So whatever you came up with consciously is almost 95% not the pivotal area of your life. The pivotal area of your life usually crosses all areas of your life. Some common ones are conflict avoidance, lack of self-worth, being disorganized, overcompensating for insecurity, being filled with self-doubt, self-criticism, demanding that you perform in areas where your heart's not in it. So you can start to see that this will not only affect your career, but it can really affect your relationships. It can affect your health. So let's take for an example, the lack of feeling of self-worth, lack self-worth. It would be hard to get the job you wanted, get paid what you're worth. It can even impact who you choose to date and eventually marry, because the person you marry might validate those feelings of worthlessness and treat you disrespectfully. Let's look at an example of being disorganized. It can start to affect your sleep, your peace of mind. You can't find things, so you stress and perhaps buy something twice because you can't find the original one. And why I talk about your sleep gets impacted is that your unconscious mind will start to resolve the issues from your day if you're not able to manage those things and put them to peacefulness. So your unconscious mind is going to solve that problem, and you're going to wake up feeling tired. So are you starting to get the idea that the pivotal area of your life means it's a pivot point around which your blockers sneakily hide so you can't find them? It's like that's just the way life is. And let me define blockers if you're new to this work. They are unconscious habit patterns. They're areas where you're blind. Some could say we're almost like under a little bit of spell. So these blockers operate automatically without your conscious choice. An example could be someone says to you, "Wow, you've gained weight lately. Are you doing okay?" Well, if you're ashamed of your weight, then you're going to be very sensitive to what that person said. And you could find yourself cringing. Now, what would cause them to say that? We could say coincidence, right? But it could also be an expectation because you are aware that you've put weight on. And then life confirms what we don't want to really address because we've got this shame around our weight. So maybe you know, because emotional eating is a way to comfort yourself. And so this feeling of the weight gain and other people commenting on it can trigger blockers in you and you can react. So what happens then? Now you're feeling even worse. So then you grab the yummy Haagen-Dazs ice cream in the fridge. And you don't want to eat that consciously. You don't want to put the weight on, but it's a way to comfort self, right? So a blocker is an unconscious habit pattern that was defined way back when you needed a little bit of comforting, a little bit of just peace of mind. But now it's self-defeating. Now, I know this may not sound so much fun. Bear with me. Because when we clear the pivotal area of our life, we experience freedom. The freedom that's like, you're on your 2-week vacation, your holiday from work, and you've booked a wonderful resort in Greece, and the weather's perfect, you have nothing planned, that kind of freedom of time. But it's not just the freedom of time, it's that joyful abandon that you feel when you're on holiday. Because when we clear the pivotal area of our life, we can experience a radical improvement in nearly every area of our life, almost instantaneously. Let's go back to the issue of self-worth. Say a man had self-worth issues that caused him to overgive in relationships and not speak up for what he needed. So at work, maybe he always felt a bit behind and was stressed because he wasn't advancing in his career. And maybe he even avoided doing some of those work projects because it's like, what's the point anyway? So his self-worth issues would cause him to make not good decisions on the project he was pursuing or the kind of relationships. It just kind of confirms our version of reality. So after clearing the pivotal area of his life, this big blocker, the self-worth issue, he might find he attracts a relationship with someone who values him, who treats him special on his birthday like he treated everybody else. So instead of having the experience where he's giving and giving, he starts to notice he's being respected and valued. And then that builds real self-worth, my friends, rather than overcompensating for insecurity. And it could start to radically improve his ability to make a living. Suddenly, the boss comes in and says, hey, you've been recommended for a promotion. And it's like it jumped into his lap. And he loves the new position. And he's building greater and greater self-esteem because he's accomplishing and thriving in that new position. The other one just didn't bring out his gifts. He's making a difference. So are you starting to see the impact of the pivotal area of one's life? And then when you start to clear the blocker associated with it, it's freedom. So let's uncover a success experience in a pivotal area of your life. Now, if you haven't uncovered it, that's okay, because you can reach out and you and I can get on a phone call and I can guide you through specific questions to pull that out. So please reach out. You don't have to do this alone. So I'm going to walk you through a little exercise, and you may just pop in this success experience in maybe you're a conflict avoider. So we can pick that one. Okay. Now, no one's life is all bad in the pivotal area of their life. There are hidden gems waiting to be discovered. We're going to uncover one now. Now, we don't have the time to do the full process because I really would like you one-on-one to uncover this, but I can show you this part to begin. Okay, so write down what you think is the pivotal area of your life based on what I've just shared with you on the top of a clean piece of paper. Now, I'd like you to remember back to memories of your life in this area of your life. So say as an example, it's pivotal areas, conflict avoidance. You'd focus on your heart and ask a question and just expect you get an answer. Please show me memories around me avoiding conflict. Please show me memories around me avoiding conflict. Just write down what you get. It may be a flash. You know, you're 7 years old and you've just spray painted your bike, and then you spray painted your sister's bike because your bike looked terrible because you spray painted it with this gray pre-paint paint, and your mother's tracking you down. Yeah, that was actually me. A little too vivid, right? So I would just write down 7 years old, mom caught me with the spray paint and I was done, okay? So I just wanted to run away, right? Okay, what about another one where, say, someone wrongly charged your credit card, or they said they would reverse the charge and they never did? If you avoid conflict, maybe you wouldn't call them up and demand they reverse it, okay? Maybe another memory comes up and you're with a family member and they're probing you, like, how's your career going? I know you wanted to start that part-time online business. How's that going for you? And you feel yourself contracting, you feel yourself being challenged, you start going quiet. You just don't want to respond. Or maybe a family member loves to use anger to influence the family to just get in alignment and just go along. And you find yourself just, okay, I'm just not going to push the boat. I don't want the anger to even get worse. I'm just going to do what they say. Okay, now, so you've written down some memories. Those were just some examples, okay? Now, what if we take a memory where you actually confronted a credit card company for the wrong charge? You remember yourself calling the credit card company and you're asking for them to refund that charge, Okay? Now, take that success, wherever the success is. This is my example here, okay? And transpose it into the area where you seem to go a little mushy, a little bit soft, and you avoid conflict. Is it in your intimate partnership? Do you feel that if you speak up, that your partner's not going to be as loving towards you? Or is it in your parenting? Are you kind of a go along to get along parent and it's really hard to call your child out on the carpet? Okay, so take that feeling of, I've got this, that feeling of success, maybe where you called the credit card company or somebody else. You had success in standing up for yourself. You had success in stepping into that conflict area, and you confidently owned your power and what you wanted to happen. Okay, good. So I'd like you to write down, what would it look like? How would it feel when you stepped up in that area where you feel a little bit mushy and that you lack that confidence? Write that down. Create a little imaginary experience. And then I'd like you to surround it with a ball of white light. Place it into your heart. And we're going to give new instructions to your unconscious mind on how you would like to handle that area. So you make sure it's a 10 in desirability and fulfillment. Surround it with a ball of white light. Place it in your heart and say, this is how I would like to handle, create, and perceive situations like that. Please make this happen and unfold in ways that are for the highest good of me and of all involved. And just breathe it in and out of your body. Okay. So we're going to go into a little bit more detail of how to transplant your success experience so that win of you stepping up and acting confidently and asking for what you want into an area where you feel weaker. So take that memory that came up where you weren't quite as weak. You stood up for what was right. And underline the aspects in that stronger memory. Notice how you talked. Notice how you held yourself, how you stood in your power. Now take those strengths, those success abilities, and put them into an area where you feel less strong. Notice in your body as you do so for any body discomfort, butterflies in your stomach, tension in your neck, tightness in your temple, pressure in your head. Those are what I would call blocker body feelings. That's the semaphore. That's the kind of the tip of the tiger's tail that will help you uncover that whole blocker pattern. So that when you go to operate strongly in that new area with your success abilities, you'll be confident, you'll follow through, you'll do it. Okay, so if you had any kind of incongruence between what you consciously want to stand up for yourself in that area and what you wrote down, those unconscious habit patterns are unconscious for a reason. They're going to just continue to play out and make your life turn out the same way that it has in the pivotal area of your life. Because that, what I call a bad boy blocker, doesn't want to release itself so easily. I'm hoping you're starting to see what I mean, and I don't mean to be a Debbie Downer here at all. I want to share with you the power of this work so that you can start to naturally clear the pivotal area of your life. So I'd like you to read what you wrote down, that where you took those success qualities and you transposed it on a memory of where you did not stand up fully. And I'd like you to imagine you could take those body feelings out, remove them until you feel a sense of calmness and relaxation. Here's an example. Okay, so say your child comes home from school and had a bad day. You can literally feel it. And it's your nature to talk to your child, make him feel better, and nurture them. So you don't say anything about how snippy he was when he walked into the house. You let him turn the TV up really loud, you shrink yourself. Basically, you're avoiding the conflict. Okay. Now, overlay the memory of you calling the credit card company into this one. Here's a reframe, a revision. Your son comes in, you sense he's exuding anger. He throws his book bag on the floor, stomps it in the kitchen, yelling in a harsh tone, "You never buy me any good food. There's no snacks in here." You recall the credit card company example. You say, instead of trying to please and rush around looking for the right book or the right snack, saying, "Honey, how about this? How about that?" You say calmly, "Dinner will be at 5 p.m. You don't get hooked into over-pleasing, nor did you avoid the conflict and sneak away. Are you starting to see the power of just that subtle shift? So you're borrowing those innate success abilities from one area of your life, and then you're infusing it into the other area where you normally would, in a knee-jerk reactive pattern, just respond and give way. Now, for those of you who may have been following cybernetic transposition, what I shared with you is the method to set a basic achiever objective. An objective that's less than a 5 or so in difficulty, but it's a 10 in desirability. So now, as we start to wrap up our podcast here, I want to make sure that you know about this book. Odd title, I know, but it's got fabulous tools and resources. How to get lots of money for anything fast, and I will put that in the show notes, cyberneticmastery.com, and you can find it right there in the sidebar. So I'd love to know what you got out of the podcast today, if you had any insights. This one was definitely something that you'd want to do again with some paper and pencil in front of you, especially if you're listening to it while you're working out or walking. It's valuable. So if you enjoyed the episode, please follow me on facebook.com/higher true self. Tell me what you'd like to hear more of. And if you're done with pushing and forcing yourself to get things done without results, come find your Manifest Without Force or Frustration gift at highertrueself.com. It's completely free. Remember, when you confirm yourself, it frees you to be yourself. Thanks so much for listening.